The dense jungle canopy filtered the alien sun's harsh rays into scattered emerald shards, casting shifting shadows over the forest floor. Valera crouched on a twisted branch, every muscle taut, eyes glowing faintly with a predator's intensity. She was a Theric scout, one of the apex predators of the galaxy, towering, muscular, with clawed hands and a maw full of serrated teeth. Hunters born and bred to dominate, the Theric had ruled their domain for millennia. Today, Valera was hunting, but not the usual quarry. She was tracking a rumor whispered among the outer colonies, a creature that defied the natural order. A human. Her pulse quickened as she scanned the underbrush below. The alien jungle was alive with the sound of distant roars and the rhythmic pounding of huge paws on soft earth. Valera's sharp ears picked out the low growl of a massive beast, the local apex predator, a scaled nightmare with forelegs, razor teeth, and a tail thick enough to fell trees. Suddenly, a blur of movement caught her eye.
A man.
Not just any man, but one unlike any Valera had ever encountered. Tall but lean, with weathered skin and eyes like storm clouds, the human moved with a predator's grace and a soldier's precision. He carried no heavy weapons, just a carved spear tipped with sharpened metal and an assortment of makeshift knives strapped to his belt. Valera watched in disbelief as the human darted forward. The great predator charged, jaws snapping shut inches from the man's shoulder. But Jack Harrow sidestepped with lightning speed, twisting his spear and plunging it deep into the beast's neck. The monster bellowed, thrashing wildly, but Jack held firm, his muscles coiled like springs. With a roar of his own, he tore the spear free and drove a knife into the creature's eye. The predator's thrashing slowed, then stopped. Jack ripped the beast apart with bare hands, his face grim but focused. Valera's jaw dropped. No Theric hunter could match such raw ferocity, not just strength, but a deadly combination of speed, instinct, and tactical brilliance. For a moment, all she could do was watch. A deep, unfamiliar sensation stirred within her, a mix of awe, fear, and something dangerously close to respect. When the carcass was still, Jack turned, scanning the jungle for any other threats. His eyes locked briefly with Valera's hiding spot, and then he smiled, a slow, confident grin that said, "I'm not afraid of you." Jack had been surviving on this wild world for months, ever since his transport crashed during a secretive scouting mission. An ex-military survival specialist, he was more than prepared to face the hostile environment. But nothing could have readied him for the moment he crossed paths with the Theric's deadliest creatures. His sister's memory drove him, a constant reminder of why he couldn't fail. He had to get back home. He had to live. As Valera slipped silently back into the shadows, she radioed her findings to the Theric High Command. Subject: human. Designation: Jack Harrow. Status: anomaly. Exhibits lethal efficiency and tactical unpredictability. Classified threat level: maximum. Back on the Theric homeworld, a grim fortress world of jagged cliffs and harsh crimson skies, the council gathered in heated debate. The apex predator race was not used to threats they could not dominate or intimidate. "The human kills our apex predator with ease," snarled a burly Theric warrior. "If one can do this, there may be more. We cannot afford to let such weakness spread." "Patience," Valera countered, her voice steady despite the tension. "We must understand this species before acting. They may possess strengths beyond brute force." The council murmured, divided between pride and fear. Meanwhile, Jack trekked through the jungle, patching wounds and gathering resources. His mind was a whirlwind of tactical calculations. He knew the Theric hunted in packs, relying on strength and intimidation. But he thought humans had ingenuity. From traps fashioned with vines and sharpened rocks, to setting fires to herd beasts, Jack's methods were unorthodox but devastatingly effective. That night, sitting by a flickering fire, Jack spoke softly to the stars. "Whatever you are out there, I'm ready." Valera's thoughts returned to Jack again and again. He was unlike any creature the Theric had faced. not just in physical ability but in spirit. The Theric lived by a rigid code. Strength was power, dominance was survival, fear was control. Yet here was a human who wielded fear like a weapon and defied every expectation. She remembered her own training. Never show doubt, never hesitate. Kill or be killed. But watching Jack dismantle the apex predator piece by piece challenged everything she knew. Could humans be the new apex predators? Days later, Valera stalked closer to Jack's camp, careful to stay out of sight. She observed him repairing a crude spear, his hands steady and sure. He spoke softly to himself, reciting something like a battle chant, a promise of survival. Suddenly, a pack of smaller predators emerged from the shadows, eyes gleaming with hunger. Jack's reaction was instantaneous. He grabbed a burning branch, waving it wildly, shouting a guttural command. The predators hesitated, snarling, then retreated. Valera's chest tightened with a strange emotion. Was it admiration? Fear? Both. She decided to take a risk. Emerging from the brush, Valera stepped into the firelight. Jack's eyes widened for a split second, then narrowed in calculating interest. "Who are you?" Jack growled, raising his spear but not attacking. "I am Valera," she said, her voice calm but firm. "I am a scout from the Theric." Jack lowered his spear just enough to listen. "I came to observe," Valera continued. "You're kind. They are not what we expected." Jack nodded slowly. "We don't expect much," he said, smirking. "Maybe that's our advantage." That night, under a sky foreign yet beautiful, two predators from different worlds sized each other up, not as enemies, but as something far more complicated. Valera saw in Jack not just a warrior, but a mirror of her own doubts and fears. Jack saw in Valera the embodiment of a challenge he hadn't asked for, but welcomed. As the alien winds whispered secrets through the trees, the hunt was far from over. Themes and beats. This chapter introduces the core HFY elements: human grit, ingenuity, and raw resilience versus alien expectations of dominance. Through Valera's eyes, readers experience awe and cultural clash, while Jack embodies the unstoppable human spirit. The tension is thick, but tempered with moments of dark humor and mutual respect. Stakes are set high with the hint of a galaxy watching this strange new force. Would you like me to continue with Chapter 2 next? The crimson skies of the Theric homeworld bled into the horizon, casting a harsh, unforgiving light over the jagged spires of rock that rose like ancient sentinels. Valera strode through the massive council chambers, vast halls etched with the scars of countless battles and echoes of old war chants. Her report had shaken the council, and whispers followed her like shadows. In the high seat sat the council elders, thick-scaled and battle-scarred, their many eyes flicking toward her with a mix of suspicion and unease. The apex predators ruled through strength and dominance, and now a strange variable had been introduced, a human who had torn through their deadliest beast as if it were paper. "The creature you call Jack Harrow," rumbled Elder Kresh, his voice gravelly like grinding stone. "Is he truly as powerful as you claim?" Valera nodded solemnly. "More than power alone. He fights with cunning. His unpredictability undermines our traditions. He does not fear death as we do." A murmur rippled through the chamber. Fear, real fear, was rare in Theric hearts. "We cannot allow this anomaly to spread," snarled Elder Drax, tapping his clawed fingers on the stone table. "If these humans learn our weaknesses, they will topple us all." Valera raised a claw, steady and firm. "I urge caution. We should observe and understand before we strike. This human strength comes from more than muscle. It is in his mind, his tactics, and his people." Far above the jagged cliffs and boiling red rivers of Valera's homeworld, orbiting quietly in the void, floated the Odyssey, a human exploration vessel. Inside, Captain Maya Lin stood by a viewport, watching the wild planet below. Her team was preparing for a rescue mission. Months had passed since they'd lost contact with their scout on the surface. The discovery of Jack Harrow alive and apparently thriving had ignited hope and urgency. Maya was calm but determined, an officer forged in the crucible of command and diplomacy. Her reputation for measured decisions balanced with bold leadership was well earned. Jack's survival is more than luck, Maya said, her eyes sharp with unspoken understanding. If he's killing apex predators and outsmarting a species like the Theric, then we're dealing with something more dangerous than we imagined. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Reyes, frowned. But the Theric are a warrior species, Captain. If they consider us a threat, it won't be long before they come looking for war. Maya's gaze hardened. Then we have to be ready. On the jungle moon, Jack Harrow was back on his feet, his hands raw from splintered wood and makeshift weapons. His mind churned with tactical calculations, where to strike next, how to stay one step ahead. Humans thrived on adversity, he thought. They adapted and improvised where others relied on brute force or sheer numbers. Jack's camp was a fortress of traps and improvised alarms, a tangle of vines rigged to fall, pits hidden beneath leaves, and noisemakers crafted from bone and metal scraps. The wild was no longer a place of survival, it was a battlefield, and Jack was its master. Valera returned to the jungle under the cover of night, her mission clear: observe this human in detail. She moved like a shadow, silent and careful. She watched Jack lead his team, the Odyssey crew who had touched down cautiously, weapons raised but curiosity winning over fear. They worked together seamlessly, each person a vital part of a complex machine. Jack's voice was steady and confident as he shared knowledge of the terrain, the beasts, and the enemy. The Theric fight like wild animals, he said one evening. Strong, fast, but predictable. They rely on intimidation and raw power. That's their weakness. Maya listened intently. So we use our heads and not our fists. Jack smiled, a rare softness crossing his battle-hardened features. Exactly. But the Theric Council was not idle. Valera's reports had ignited fear and fury. The Elders sent a covert team led by the brutal warlord Kraldar to capture Jack and test the humans' limits. We will show them the true apex predator, Kraldar growled, brandishing his massive, serrated blade. We will rip this human apart. The stage was set for collision. Deep in the jungle, a quiet tension hummed like electricity before a storm. Jack's traps caught small scouting parties, and each encounter tested his patience and ingenuity. Maya's team pushed forward, learning the terrain and adapting to its threats, inspired by Jack's unyielding spirit. Valera watched from the shadows, torn between loyalty and awe. Jack was rewriting the rules of survival in this unforgiving world. Then, one morning the trap snapped shut. Kraldar and his warriors fell into a carefully disguised pit, crashing down with snarls and fury. But Jack was ready. Using vines and jagged stones, he turned the trap into a killing ground. The Theric were ferocious, but Jack's guerrilla tactics and quick thinking kept him one step ahead. The battle escalated into chaos. Roars, clashing blades, shouts and snarls echoing through the jungle. Jack faced Kraldar in brutal hand-to-hand combat, each strike a deadly test of strength and will. The warrior Theric underestimated the human's resilience, his unpredictable fighting style, and his refusal to back down. Valera's breath caught as Jack, battered but unbroken, seized Kraldar's blade and shattered it with a savage twist. Your strength isn't just muscle, Jack said, eyes blazing. It's your mind. With a final, explosive burst, Jack incapacitated Kraldar, leaving the Theric warrior stunned and defeated. The jungle fell silent. Valera stepped forward from the shadows, eyes wide with disbelief. You fight not as a human, but as a force of nature, she said quietly. Jack wiped blood from his face and grinned. We're full of surprises. Back on the Theric homeworld, the Council's certainty cracked. How can one human defeat our champion? Elder Drax growled. Valera stepped forward, voice firm. Because strength alone does not make an apex predator. Strategy, resilience, and unpredictability do. The elders' faces twisted, some in anger, others in dawning realization. The galaxy is changing, Valera said. And we must change with it or fall behind. In the quiet moments after the battle, Maya approached Jack. "You've done the impossible," she said. Jack shrugged. "I'm just a survivor." "But survival is only the first step," Maya countered. "Now, we have to decide what comes next." Jack looked toward the dark jungle canopy, eyes fierce and unyielding. "Then let's make sure they're ready for what comes next." Themes and beats. This chapter expands on the initial encounter with deeper cultural clash and rising tension. The Theric Council's fear contrasts with Valera's growing respect for human ingenuity. Jack's leadership and Maya's pragmatism highlight human unpredictability and strategic brilliance, challenging the Theric's rigid dominance-based worldview. The stakes escalate as the Theric prepare for war, but the humans demonstrate adaptability and camaraderie, laying groundwork for the eventual shift in power. The tone blends awe, tactical tension, and the first hints of humor in Jack's defiant grin. Would you like me to continue with Chapter 3 next? The jungle was no longer just a battleground, it was a crucible. Flames licked at the twisted underbrush as Jack Harrow and his team pushed deeper into the Theric territory, each step weighed down by the growing urgency and the creeping sense of inevitable conflict. Valera moved through the smoke and shadows, her thoughts a whirlwind of confusion and reluctant admiration. The humans were unlike anything she had known, tenacious, unpredictable, and utterly fearless. Their resilience defied every survival instinct of the Theric, whose dominance had gone unchallenged for millennia. But it was not just Jack's physical prowess that unsettled her, it was his unbreakable spirit and the way his comrades rallied around him. Humans did not fight alone. They fought as a unit, each trusting the other with their lives. Maya Lin's voice crackled softly over comms. "Team, stay alert. The Council will not let us roam their lands freely. We must expect retaliation." Jack wiped sweat and grime from his brow, eyes scanning the horizon where the dense jungle gave way to rocky outcrops and looming cliffs. "They'll come," he said grimly. "And when they do, we'll be ready." The Odyssey crew was a mix of hardened veterans and scientific experts, bound together by the mission and Jack's unyielding leadership. Tactical drills, fire discipline, and makeshift fortifications became their daily rhythm, a dance of survival and preparation. Suddenly, the jungle erupted into chaos. A squadron of Theric warriors thundered down the slopes, war cries ripping through the air. Their weapons were brutal, barbed spears and energy blades that hissed with lethal intent. Jack's team sprang into action. Maya barked orders, coordinating defensive formations. The humans fought with a blend of military precision and raw determination. Traps and terrain worked to their advantage. Jack led charges that split the enemy ranks, exploiting weaknesses and sowing confusion. Valera watched from above, heart pounding. The Theric were fierce and skilled, but the humans fought with a ferocity and tactical savvy that defied expectation. The battle escalated into a firestorm. Flamethrowers ignited the dry brush, explosions rocked the cliffs, and the cries of the wounded echoed beneath the blood-red sky. Amid the carnage, Jack found himself face to face with Kruldar's second-in-command, a towering brute named Zarnak. The two clashed, their weapons sparking and clanging with deadly intent. Jack ducked a savage blow, countered with a brutal strike to Zarnak's ribs, and then drove his spear into the alien's thigh. Zarnak snarled, collapsing but still dangerous. Jack's breath was heavy but steady. Each move was calculated, each strike fueled by the need to protect his team. As the dust settled, Maya approached Valera cautiously. "We're not your enemies," Maya said firmly, "but we won't back down." Valera met her gaze, eyes reflecting years of survival and the dawning realization of change. "Your people are strong. Stronger than we anticipated." Maya nodded. "Strength isn't everything. We fight because we must, but we also fight for something better. For hope." Valera's expression softened for the first time. Perhaps there is more to learn. Back at the council chambers, tensions reached a boiling point. "The humans defy our might and mock our code," Elder Drax growled. "We must destroy them before their spirit spreads." Valera stepped forward, voice resolute. "Or we can join them." The room fell silent. "Join them?" Elder Kresha's many eyes narrowed. The humans? The invaders? Yes, Valera said firmly. Their resilience and ingenuity can strengthen us. If we cling only to the past, we will fall. A murmur rippled through the council. The old ways were strong, but change was inevitable. Valera's proposals sparked fierce debate. Some elders saw alliance as betrayal, others as survival. But Valera believed that in unity lay strength. She arranged a secret meeting with Maya and Jack, away from prying eyes, beneath the canopy of ancient trees that had witnessed countless wars. We must find a way to coexist, Valera said. The galaxy is shifting. If we fight alone, we will all perish. Jack nodded. I don't want war. But if it comes, we'll face it head-on. Maya smiled, hope flickering in her eyes. This is the start of something new. Together, the unlikely trio began crafting a fragile alliance. Training sessions combined Theric combat ferocity with human tactical ingenuity. Cultural exchanges unveiled new perspectives, stories shared around campfires, laughter echoing amidst the ruins of war. Valera learned about human history, their endless capacity to endure and adapt. Jack discovered honor and pride in the Theric way of life, tempered by respect rather than fear. Maya brokered diplomatic protocols, laying the groundwork for a future neither species could have foreseen. But peace was fragile. Krelthar and his loyalists plotted in shadows, unwilling to accept defeat or alliance. The humans are a threat, Krelthar hissed. They must be crushed. A secret attack was planned, one that would shatter the tentative trust and plunge both species back into war. The night before the planned assault, Valera stood beside Jack and Maya, eyes on the stars. We face darkness, she said softly, but together, we may bring light. Jack clenched his fists. Then let's make sure they remember what happens when they underestimate humanity. Maya's voice was steady, filled with determination. We fight not just for survival, but for a future worth living. As dawn approached, the jungle held its breath. The firestorms and alliances forged in the crucible of battle had only just begun. The war for survival, respect, and understanding was far from over. But one thing was certain: humanity was a force the galaxy had never seen before. Themes and beats. This chapter escalates the conflict with full-scale battle sequences and introduces the theme of alliance, cultural exchange, and the potential for coexistence. The human capacity for tactical adaptability and camaraderie contrasts with Etheric's warrior pride. Valera emerges as a bridge between worlds, embodying the HFY spirit of resilience and hope. The tone blends explosive action with moments of diplomacy and emotional depth, highlighting the stakes and the possibility for transformation. The narrative tension grows, setting up for the climactic conflicts and revelations to come. Would you like me to continue with Chapter 4? The dawn broke cold and sharp over the scorched jungle. The thick smoke that still curled in the air was a ghost of the night's violence, a reminder of the fragile peace shattered by betrayal. Jack Harrow stood amidst the ruins of what had been a human Theric forward base, the ground littered with bodies, weapons, and broken promises. His face was streaked with dirt and blood, but his eyes burned with fierce determination. Beside him, Maya Lin checked her gear, her jaw tight but unbroken. Valera emerged from the shadows, her scales dulled by soot but her posture unwavering. The tentative alliance they had forged was shattered, attacked from within by Krelthar and his warhawks. Betrayal cuts deeper than any blade, Valera said, voice heavy but resolute. Jack's gaze hardened. Then we'll carve a new path through the darkness. The attack had been swift and brutal. Krelthar's loyalists had ambushed the base with a deadly combination of stealth and overwhelming force. Survivors scrambled to regroup as alarms blared and flamethrowers ignited patches of the forest. Jack's instincts kicked in, rallying his team with precision. Fall back to secondary positions. Hold the perimeter. Maya coordinated medical teams, while Valera called on her own warriors who had remained loyal to the cause of peace. The battle was chaos incarnate, but amid the firestorm, something remarkable emerged, a unity that transcended species, a brotherhood forged in shared survival. Jack and Valera fought side by side, their contrasting styles a perfect complement, his raw human grit and her calculated etheric strength. Together, they pushed back the attackers, turning desperation into determination. "This ends now," Jack growled as he faced Krelthar in the heart of the battle. The warlord's sneer was a savage thing. "You think your human tricks can save you? I am the true apex predator." Jack laughed, a sound sharp with defiance. Apex isn't just about killing. It's about surviving, adapting, and rising above. The two clashed, flesh, metal, and will, each strike echoing the stakes of their struggle. Elsewhere, Maya coordinated evacuation efforts and sent urgent communications to the Odyssey, signaling for reinforcements. "We need support or this entire operation falls apart," she told her team, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Hold fast, Captain," came a reply. "Help is en route." The clock ticked toward an uncertain future as battle raged on multiple fronts. Meanwhile, Valera confronted Elder Drax, who had led the coup against the Alliance. "You betray the future for your fears," Valera accused. Drax's eyes burned with fanaticism. "The galaxy belongs to the strong. Weakness invites annihilation." Valera shook her head, her voice fierce. "Strength without wisdom is destruction." Their words were a clash of ideology, a microcosm of the war tearing their world apart. Back on the battlefield, Jack executed a daring maneuver, luring Krelthar into a narrow ravine. "There's no room for your arrogance here," Jack snarled. With a sudden burst, he used the terrain to his advantage, leaping, dodging, and striking with precision. Krelthar's blade shattered against rock, and Jack pinned him down, the fight draining from the warlord's eyes. "Your reign is over," Jack declared, voice cold. The defeat of Krelthar marked the turning point. With their leader captured, the Theric loyalists faltered and retreated. Valera stepped forward, addressing both species. "Let this be the last battle fought in ignorance and hate," she said. "Together, we are stronger." Maya nodded. "This is our chance to build a future, one where humans and Therics stand side by side." In the aftermath, the wounds were tended and treaties were drafted. Jack and Valera became symbols of a new era, a testament to the HFY spirit of courage, resilience, and unity. Stories of their fight spread across the galaxy, inspiring others to reconsider old prejudices. At the Odyssey, Maya looked out at the stars, a soft smile on her lips. "We came here as strangers," she said quietly, "but we'll leave as allies." Jack stood beside her, the weight of battle fading but the promise of tomorrow shining bright. "Humans don't just survive," he said. "We redefine what it means to be Apex." Themes and beats. Chapter 4 delivers the climax and resolution, weaving together intense action, ideological confrontation, and the birth of a lasting alliance. It emphasizes human adaptability and spirit against entrenched traditions, culminating in the fall of old power structures. The narrative balances the chaos of battle with moments of hope and renewal, highlighting camaraderie across species and the transformative power of unity. The tone blends awe and grit, ending on an uplifting note that celebrates the HFY ethos, humanity rising to meet challenges with fierce heart and clear mind. If you want, I can help polish this chapter or start working on supplementary materials like dialogue scenes or character backstories.